Say it again. Say the chicken chorizo bit
No.
again.
I'll say it now, so it'll be out of context later.
No, it's the perfect cold open.
Yeah.
And then he needed to go get a chicken chorizo from Taco Bell.
And
And the
Spider-Man.
government wouldn't let him.
The government would let him.
They were like, fuck your chicken chorizo, dude.
What's that movie? Is it a hit? I'll ask Alenka, she'll say, I haven't seen it.
Welcome to the Haven't Seen It podcast. This is a podcast where we bring people on a show and I get them really drunk and they tell me about a movie that I've never seen before. I'm Alenka Zach.
And I'm Will.
And we are the Haven't Seen It podcast, and we're here today, and we're recording on the movies of the things that I haven't seen, and we already kind of said that, but basically,
And
you guys,
why did you just go Italian there?
I don't think I've ever met an Italian person that sounds like that. Will, what are you trying to say?
I mean, you went a little bit Eastern European.
I just got
or
really
something.
scared. I got nervous because
You got nervous?
Yeah, I got nervous because I got nervous. So
Why are you nervous?
I got nervous because you always stress me out at the opening, and it really bothers me because you're always like, "Oh, Alenka, you should ramble a little bit. You should do a little thing before you talk about."
Yeah, it's
the
not
guest.
like we
And I'll
didn't
have
meet
you
in an improv
know-
group.
I'll have you know, Will, that my parents are very foreign, and my dad's Czech. And you want to know what Czech people like? Direct information in the littlest amount of words as possible.
This is not the podcast for them then.
No, they shouldn't listen. You guys,
Don't listen.
all of you Czech
Whatever
people
you
don't
do,
listen.
whatever you do, don't listen. Listen to something else. This isn't a Czech podcast.
Speaking of not listening to instructions, Alex wasn't supposed to talk before we introduced him, but who done it? Alex did. You guys, today on the show we have the very funny comedian and comic animator Alex Berry from New York, but recording in Colorado. It's because, family is important.
Welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited about it too.
Oh, really?
I'm really
Happy and excited?
Yes.
Thank God.
So excited and happy to be here.
Why are you so excited and happy?
I'm exuberant. Because I'm, it's exciting to see you guys and and be on your podcast and to be here.
Yeah, it was nice of
It's
you
exciting. That's an exciting thing.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
We're all here.
I mean, it's an exciting movie. It's a very exciting movie.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Yeah.
I'm actually
It made me
can't-
cry.
What?
Oh, yeah, it did.
Oh yeah, roller coaster of emotions.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like one of the most emotional Spider-Man movies ever.
Well, you heard it here, folks.
Oh.
We're talking about Spider-Man, but which Spider-Man are we talking about?
Into the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales, the Spider-Man who can.
Yeah.
What?
He
Yeah.
can do it all.
I'm honestly already annoyed with this movie.
Because it's a feel-good movie.
No, because the Spider-Man that can, is that what it is?
No.
Are
he
they
can do-
teenagers
his-
in this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stan Lee. That was Stan Lee's subtitle for the comic, the Spider-Man who can, Miles Morales.
That's his name? His name's Miles?
Yeah, his
Yeah.
name's Miles Morales.
Spider-Man's name.
This Spider-Man's name.
This Spider-Man. There's an infinite number of Spider-Men.
Why are
Some
you
of
guys
them are women.
this to me?
Some of them are women. Some of
Yeah.
them are men.
And some of them
Spider
are something
people.
else completely, and you will find out.
Yeah, some of them are both. So
Some of them are John
Um,
Mulaney.
Guys, stop fucking with me.
do you want me to? Should I start walking you through
Well,
the movie? Or?
Not
Well,
yet. Not yet.
First, I
He
want
has
to
all
know.
this stuff to talk about.
First, we have a format, Alenka. We have to stick to that format.
I
That's
know.
why we have followers. Okay.
I know, I'm just itching my armpit.
Well, Alex, why did you pick this movie? I'll have to say this is our second movie we've done that has come out in like the last year.
What was
Or
the other
two.
one?
Oh,
Parasite.
I didn't see that. Never saw that one. I love Spider-Man. I felt that's a movie that I'll remember.
Oh yeah.
You look like you could be Peter Parker.
I felt like if I picked something too complicated, I would just forget the whole thing.
Hold on. You're telling me there's like millions of other Spider-Mans in this movie, and you're telling me it's not a complicated movie?
Yeah, it's just something that I get.
Yeah.
You know,
It really speaks to me.
The whole quantum physics of all of it is just cuts to the core.
Are you serious? I'm not going to keep
right
up
to
with
the
this.
heart.
Holy shit.
Well, luckily they don't talk about the quantum physics. It just happens. You just watch it happen a little bit.
What?
Yeah, they talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit.
They spend a whole hour breaking down the quantum equation or something. Like, I don't know.
That's the rising action of it all.
Yeah. That's the emotional heart of the movie, Alenka. Just talking about
the
science.
answer is
So it's the
Spider-Man.
It's the intertwining and commingling of a young boy and his quantum physics theories.
I'm so stressed out. I don't know what the fuck this movie's about.
A story of love and passion and science and things that nobody really understands, but some people do.
You know who understands?
That's the tagline.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. He understands.
Oh, that would be a great cameo in this movie.
It would have been, yeah. Stan Lee cameoed in the movie.
Yeah. Is this his? This is his last one, technically, right? Or no?
I think so.
Endgame.
Why did he die?
No, this one was.
He died.
Yeah, Stan Lee died. He passed away.
Oh,
Yeah, he died. He did.
I thought
2
so.
years now. 2 years ago.
I wasn't sure. R.I.P. Stanley Lee. Is it Stanley Lee? That seems dumb.
No. I mean, he went by Stan.
So his
Lee.
name was Stanley Lee.
Stanley Lee. Yeah, that's Stanley Lee, the creator of Marvel Comics.
Wow.
Sadly passed away 2 years ago yesterday.
Wait, really?
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
So it's quite the timing that we're recording this episode today.
We did well.
Yeah, we did.
All right.
Well, you didn't know who Stan Lee was, or sorry, you
I
didn't
know who he is. I just didn't know he died.
You didn't know. Sorry, I assumed
I've
too
seen him in a
little of
movie.
you. But do you know, what can you tell us about this movie? Do you have a sense of what might happen in this movie, Alenka?
Yeah, for sure. No.
Yeah? I want to know.
No.
I feel
I
like
know those juicy details.
I'm ready to hear what you have to say.
Okay, so obviously there's many Spider-Mans, and I'm thinking this kid, he's animated. Literally, he is a cartoon. That's why they can show you all of the quantum spaces and the leaps. And I'm assuming there's many of the like kind of transitions where they go through space into the next dimension. I can't wait for those. Those, I think, are my favorite part about what I perceive this movie to be about. And you know what? There was a Batman movie that had many different animators for a few episodes or something. And it was just a bunch of different animated Batmans. And some of them were goofy looking. Some of them were scary looking. Some of them looked normal. I feel like this is just that, but not different animators, different universes. And maybe I have no fucking clue what this movie's about, to be honest. I can't even think of a stupid fucking plot for it. I'm sorry.
I mean, you were kind of close.
Yeah.
I literally just said whatever Alex said. Apparently he cried, so I don't know. Someone dies. A kid dies.
Ooh.
A young kid dies.
There's a couple of deaths in the movie.
There's a couple.
Ew.
Yeah.
Grandpa dies and a young kid dies. And to save a baby and his mom.
And a dog.
A dog, maybe.
Yeah.
Wait, a dog dies or a dog gets saved?
You'll find out.
You'll find out, yeah. And Spider-Man, something happens to Spider-Man that just makes you really sad.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very.
He poops his pants in public. Sad times,
quite.
honestly.
Not
Piece
quite.
of-
That's more embarrassing than it is sad. I think you feel sorry for whoever that is, not sad for them.
But pooping your
He's,
pants in public's pretty sad.
It's
Like,
not
keep
really.
it together. You've
I don't
done
know
it.
if it's sad. I
So
feel
you've
like
pooped
I
your
feel
pants
like-
in public.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You'd
yeah.
remember.
That's more like, oh, that's a shame. It's not sad.
It's like, oh, I wish I wasn't that guy.
Well,
Rather than, oh man, I feel really sad for that person.
with shit in his pants.
yeah, I think honestly, I don't see a difference. I'm
It's
not hearing
very-
a difference.
It's very tragic, and it happens at the beginning.
His
Mhm.
parents die. His brother
No,
dies. His
no.
big brother dies.
No, somebody
Okay.
dies. Somebody
Okay.
dies though. And it's
All
very
right.
sad. It's very sad, and gosh, Spider-Man. It just breaks your heart.
Mhm.
Speaking of breaking my heart, I would love for Will to tell us about his really poorly thought out beverage.
Why is it poorly thought? I don't know. I'm
It's
trying to do something.
Are you?
Yeah. Well, as you know what you should have though, as the name of this drink is called, you should have no expectations.
And you're actually, you know what, Will? I had some expectations for this drink, and I was disappointed.
Well, I will explain the drink to you.
Fine.
So, like I said, it's called No Expectations.
Like I said.
And basically, you want some cranberry juice. You can pour that over ice. Ice helps the layering process because then you want to layer in a dark,
Doesn't
like
layer.
the darkest rum or alcohol you can find. If you can find black vodka, that would work. But just
Ew,
real
is
dark.
that a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing. I don't think you can find it here, but it's a thing.
That's gross.
And you want to layer that on top so that you get a little bit of kind of blackness on top and then the red on the bottom. And then you top that with, a cherry as your garnish. And that's called a No Expectations. And that's supposed to represent his suit color because you know what, Alenka?
Suit.
He doesn't look like all the other ones.
I know.
He doesn't.
No.
But there's the other ones look kind of normal, but also not really.
Wait, why? Talk to me. Why?
Oh, they're
Why?
all different.
Yeah, they're all different Spider-Mans.
I know they're different people. What makes them look so different, though? How can you
They're
distinguish the
from
one guy
different-
being...
They're from different dimensions, and they all have different costumes.
And different origin stories. And some of them aren't even Peter Parker.
I
Mhm.
literally hate this movie.
No, you won't. This is literally the best Spider-Man movie
Are you
ever made,
kidding
in my
me?
opinion. It is.
It is. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah,
when
it-
Alex picked it, I was like, what the fuck?
Now,
It's a good
Alenka,
movie.
before we get into this movie, you have seen the other Spider-Mans, right?
I
Or
saw
a
the
lot
one
of them?
with the guy in the upside down kiss.
You saw Tobey
And the-
Maguire's Spider-Man 1 and that's it?
Doesn't the one friend turn into the Green Lantern? Is it the Green, not the Green Lantern?
Yeah, Seth Rogen turns into
What's
the Green
that guy?
Lantern. in that
Not
movie.
Seth Rogen. Oh yeah, no, that is
No,
his
that's-
movie.
That's Ryan Reynolds is the Green Lantern.
No,
Seth Rogen's
Okay.
the Green Hornet.
Hornet. Who's the guy? It's William Dafoe. His son
And Willem.
is what's his nuts?
James
James
Franco.
Franco.
Drake. Wait, James Franco. I have no idea who celebrities are. James Franco's his son. His son, William Dafoe, evil son,
Mhm.
gets upsetty spaghetti. Harry is his name. And then something happens.
So you've seen 1 and 2? 2 is... Wait.
where
no.
Harry gets
Yeah.
upset.
I think
It's
so.
called
No, well, he
Spider-Man
gets upset
2, Harry's
1 as
upset.
well. Yeah, that's what it's called.
I don't know, man.
I
I,
mean,
don't
we're
think
not gonna-
Harry is. I don't think Harry is privy to his father's misdoings in the first one.
No,
So
he's
maybe.
not. No.
No.
What was that villain called?
The
Robin
Green
Hood.
Goblin.
No, Goblin Hood.
Goblin
Robin Hood.
Yeah,
Is
so
it villain?
I pretty much know a lot about Spider-Man.
Wow, that movie that was like 20 years ago.
Oh my
no,
God.
no way. Oh God.
Almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes. So, I keep up on the Spidey culture.
All right. Well, you're about to be caught up, Alenka, on a lot of Spider-Man. Alex, how does this movie start?
So it opens up with an origin story of Peter Parker, but the Peter Parker from the dimension that we're observing.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter Parker he's given his origin story. He's telling us that his Uncle Ben died and that he became Spider-Man, and he's married to Mary Jane, and they're a super happy couple, and he's like kind of older.
He's voiced by Chris Pine, by the way.
Chris Pine, yeah.
Chris Pine has the weird lips, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
it
so.
does have weird lips.
Yeah.
Captain
See, you
Kirk
guys
has weird
knew
lips.
what I was talking about.
And Peter Parker has kind of weird lips too.
Yeah, that's why.
And so he's fighting Kingpin at the beginning, and
Who's that?
at the same time, Kingpin's like this. He's this big corporate business guy in the Spider-Man universe, and a lot of his misdoings are like trying to blow up the Earth, and
But he's a
go into other
businessman.
dimensions. Yeah, and so in this movie, he's trying to open up another dimension to get his family back. His family died, and he's trying to get him back.
Oh,
and
that's
so Peter
sad.
Parker, he investigates this, and he's trying to stop him. And that's when that's the big inciting incident of this movie at the beginning is he's fighting Kingpin, and then at the same time, Miles Morales is just been bitten by a spider, and he's going through his. Miles Morales is the main character.
Yeah, so we're introduced to him like near the beginning as well. We kind of get the.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have to get to that. So
How do we
Spider-Man
know
does
he's
his origin story.
So
just hold on there, Alenka.
Miles Morales is he's a troubled teen, and he hangs out with his Uncle Aaron a lot, and his Uncle Aaron takes him down into the sewers to do some spray paint, some tagging and graffiti, and so that's when he gets bit by the spider. And then he starts going through his transitions of superpowers and stuff, and he's so confused about what's going on. And he runs in to Peter Parker Spider-Man fighting Kingpin, and Peter Parker Spider-Man notices that Miles Morales is just like him, and he's like, he offers to train Miles Morales, and then Peter Parker is killed by Kingpin.
Why? Oh,
Because he gets taken down.
How?
Because so what happens is Kingpin has this. It's basically like a large hadron collider or something. Basically, just something to open this portal. This giant machine. Something goes wrong. It kind of explodes, and everything comes tumbling down on top of our Peter Parker. This dimension's Peter Parker. As he's fighting. He's fighting at this point. He's fighting the Green Goblin, like a gigantic Green Goblin, and he's fighting there's other bad guys all over the place in this scene.
Yeah.
But he gets taken down, and Miles escapes, but just before he escapes, Kingpin just like curb stomps his fucking head, like pretty much, right? Or does he punch him? I can't remember.
I think it's like a curb stomp, but with his fists is kind of what he did.
Yeah. Curb stomp.
Kind of like American History X, but a little bit more cartoony. Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, and then Miles Morales is super beat up about
it.
I don't think it's
movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's animated, so it's meant for families a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a little background on Miles Morales, because we actually get introduced to him before all this happens. He is actually a pretty gifted little teen.
Why?
He's just starting his first day at like a special school in which he literally stays in like a dorm room at, because it's for smart ass people.
But he's troubled as well.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't want to go there, and he's troubled. He's troubled more internally. It's not like he's out doing bad stuff other than tagging stuff with his uncle. Yeah. That's art though.
Sure.
He wants to be an
well,
artist more than he wants to be like a scientist. So he's too afraid to tell his dad that.
mhm.
You know, as we all us artists are
As
afraid to
most
tell our
artists
parents
are.
what we want to do. Yeah.
Oof. Told my Czech dad and he disowned me.
That's harsh. That's harsh, Alenka.
I'm kidding. He was like, you do. I was like, I was young and stupid once. Do whatever. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's consent right there. Yeah, so he goes to his first day at school and he's not making many friends because he's also a little awkward. He makes little awkward jokes, and he also runs into another blonde student who's supposed to be new as well. Who she calls herself Gwanda accidentally, and then calls herself Wanda. So she's not who she says she is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And then he doesn't want to stay at this school. He's living in this dorm room with a roommate, and then he sneaks out at night and he goes visits his uncle, and that's where we kind of get to this scene of him tagging the wall with his graffiti art. And the graffiti art he tags no expectations on the wall because he was assigned by the principal or by his teacher an assignment to write an essay about what he wants to accomplish in the future. And it's called Great Expectations is what he's supposed to title it. So he tags the wall with no expectations.
Oof.
It's kind of a fuck you to that assignment.
Yeah, fuck you, teach. You don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then his Uncle Aaron's super supportive of his tagging.
Right.
His dad's not, but his uncle is.
His dad's a cap.
Yeah, his dad's a
Oh, a
cap.
cop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So is tagging like illegal or just frowned upon? I'm confused.
I think it's illegal.
I mean, street art is vandalism technically, unless you are permitted to do it. But
Oh.
it's it's kind of like
vandalism
downloaded
get
movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
20 to 30 in the US.
Wait, for real?
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know. Probably.
No.
Probably
Yeah.
something like that. Honestly, probably.
So, yeah. Now, I can't remember. How does he stumble upon Spider-Man's big fight? That's the kind of part I kind of
Yeah,
forget.
like how does he?
He, I think he gets like in trouble at, I think maybe he either gets in trouble at school or gets in a fight with his dad or something. And so he goes out to that, oh no, you know what it is? He's trying to figure out why he's like getting his powers.
Yeah, because he gets bitten by a spider while he's graffitiing. That's what we forgot.
He goes to look for the spider, and then he stumbles into that fight.
Why is he looking for the spider?
Well, because basically he wakes up the next morning after getting bitten by a spider, experiencing all these symptoms, and then he ends up getting his hand accidentally stuck to one of his comic books, and it's a Spider-Man comic books, and it shows the show's kind of the because mostly in these Marvel movies and a lot of these comic book movies, these characters also have their comic books, but in these movies, it's like their real true life story.
Right.
So he sees the story of Peter Parker, and that he's got or not Peter Parker, but Spider-Man. He's like getting all his powers, and he's experiencing the exact same things. So he's kind of like, oh, maybe no, there can't be two Spider-Mans.
Right. Well, there
So
can't.
That's why he goes back to find the spider. And when he finds it, he notices that it's all glitchy. It's kind of weird, almost like it's not part of this dimension, this spider.
Oh, I thought you were like a robot. Okay.
Well, it is kind of like it's really robot-y, digitally, and it's kind of like glitching out.
Weird.
Visually. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's when he encounters the Spider-Man fight, because he hears a lot of ruckus going on, because this is kind of in an underground, closed down subway tunnel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay. So Peter Parker dead. Spidey-Man dead. But wait,
Yeah.
within this time, he was able to teach what's his nuts about Spider-Man
No,
stuff?
he doesn't. He tells him as he's trying to save him, because basically Miles is like, oh my God, and like jumping around and trying to hide from the Green Goblin and Spider-Man as they're fighting this gigantic fight. And then Spider-Man notices him and saves him from falling to his death. And that's
Sure.
where their Spidey senses, they both pick up each other's Spidey senses, and
What?
they realize they're the same. They have the same powers, basically.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So Spider-Man's like, I promise I'll teach you everything I know. You just got to get out of here.
Okay. That sucks.
Mhm.
Just kidding. Can't teach you shit, boy.
No, he did. He
Yeah.
gets stomped.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Shitty way to go. Okay, so Buddy got stomped, then Miles is like, I can save you.
Miles Morales takes this USB from Peter Parker, and he promises to stop Kingpin in Peter Parker's honor, and that's when he leaves and he goes to the whole city is like really sad about Peter Parker's death, and that's when Miles Morales goes to visit this tombstone. And I think before that he trains a little bit of Spider-Man, but he goes to this tombstone and he runs into another Peter Parker from another dimension.
Oh my God, come
Mhm.
on.
This Peter Parker is like 40 years old and he's kind of
Ew.
fat.
He's got a beer gut. Yeah.
What?
Voiced by Jake Johnson, who is I don't know. He's like my celebrity man crush.
Oh my
I
God.
don't know. I like that guy.
I don't know. I like that guy. Why is this guy also in their dimension though?
Well, and this is kind of the cool thing. So we get one thing I'll just say, when the collider like breaks down or has like the big explosion, there's a big shockwave that goes through New York City, and it kind of like digitally fucks everything up, like visually. But it's supposed to be like all these dimensions are kind of getting like merged a little bit in this shockwave. So that's kind of
Is it
something
like
we
a
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when we introduce to this new Spider-Man, we get the same kind of origin story that we got off the top, where Peter Parker's like, okay, let's do this one more time or one last time. And then this Spider-Man then does it, but it's a different Peter Parker. He says he's Peter B. Parker with his middle name.
Fuck, he's one of those.
Yeah. And then him and Mary Jane got a divorce in his realm. And then he kind of just gave up on being Spider-Man and got fat.
Eating pizza.
Don't we all? Give up and get fat.
And he's brown hair. This Spider-Man in Miles's universe is blonde hair. And
so they have
Spider-Man?
different hair colors. And then Miles Morales accidentally knocks out that Peter Parker because he does like this
By
electric shock
herb-stomping him.
thing. Well, he has this electric shock power, and he accidentally electrocutes the new Peter B. Parker.
Yeah.
And then the cops show up, and Miles Morales drags Peter B. Parker away, and he's just
very
super lucky.
hilarious scene.
Yeah, he's very lucky. He's just super lucky that he gets away from the cops, because like they shoot a web at a train and it drags them away.
Yeah.
Oh my
He just like
God.
drags his face on the ground.
Ew.
Yeah. We also skipped over Stan Lee's cameo in this movie, but everyone's mourning the original Spider-Man after he dies.
Right.
And so it's all over the news. Mary Jane makes a speech, and Peter Parker's like true identity is revealed. And Miles, thinking that he's got to avenge him and do this plan, goes to like a costume store and buys like a Spider-Man costume. And the store is run by Stan Lee, and he's kind of like he's kind of like a sleazy salesman in a little bit.
Isn't he though?
But it's inspirational. But then they add a little bit of sleaze to the big sign that says no returns, no refunds. But
Okay.
if it doesn't fit.
Okay. What? And there's no change room?
No, it's just like a comic book store, basically.
And then Peter B. Parker wakes up in Miles Morales' dorm room at the high school he's at. And Miles Morales is like, we're the same. And Miles Morales tries to get the Peter B. Parker to train him as Spider-Man, but Peter B. Parker is like kind of grumpy and out of it and like washed out.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm not going to train you. And then Peter B. Parker is like, I need to get home. How do I get back through that portal to my dimension? And Miles Morales tells him that the only USB that they could use is broken, and that we have
Miles
to go.
Accidentally breaks it because he there's a scene where he's trying to do like the first Spider-Man where he's on top of a roof and he's gonna like try to jump to another roof, or he's gonna try to use his powers, but he chickens out and he runs down the stairs and then goes to just a shorter building to try it out.
Oh my God.
But he ends up like crashing into the wall and breaking the USB. And Jake Johnson calls these things a goober because he can never remember what the name of like any of the technical devices he's ever had to use as being Spider-Man. Like whatever this is supposed to stop this, he just calls it a goober.
Perfect.
Which I almost called this drink the goober.
You should have.
Yeah. I called it No Expectations.
Yeah, no, true. It sucks. I'm just kidding.
And then so Peter B. Parker says that he's going to help Miles Morales steal the USB back from Oscorp. So they go to Oscorp to steal this USB, and all the like supervillains hang out there. And so they go into the office of Dr. Octopus. But it's a lady this time. So it's Dr. Liz Octopus.
Dr. Dagonopus.
Yeah. And so Peter Parker, Miles Morales is like, okay, we gotta. They insert the USB into the computer in there to download this program that's going to stop the interdimensional machine that they've built. And so that when Dr. Octopus walks in, Peter B. Parker tries to distract her while Miles Morales turns invisible and tries to steal the files from the computer.
Yeah. So he
can turn fucking invisible?
We're finding out that he doesn't have all the typical Spider-Man powers because this is a different spider from a different dimension. So he's got the sticking to walls. And actually, I don't know if you know this, Alenka, but
talk to me.
Spider-Man, even in the original comics, he can't actually shoot webs. He creates his own webs that he shoots
out of his
mechanically.
Like a spider?
Because he's a scientist. Peter Parker's always a pretty smart dude who can like create things. So most Spider-Man, other than the Tobey Maguire movies, have it so that he has like web shooters that have like a
Tony
synthetic
Stark
web
type of thing.
Yeah, whereas Spider-Man one with like Tobey Maguire, they did it like he produces his own webs out of his wrists.
Yeah,
which is kind of stupid. But
no.
So Spider-Man really just has spider senses, super strength, and reflexes, and sticking to walls mostly. But Miles also has invisibility and these kind of electroshock charges.
Yeah, and so
he's invincible.
He's not invincible, but he has more powers than the other Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
So the Miles Morales is invisible, and he can't get into the computer to download the program that he needs. And so he just decides to steal the computer. And so Peter B. Parker and Miles Morales are trying to sneak out with this computer, but everyone spots them, they get caught. And so now they're trying to like run away from Kingpin and Dr. Octopus and all these super villain scientist kind of guys. And so they start like running through this forest outside of Oscorp. And that's when Peter Parker teaches Miles Morales how to swing on his webs. And so Miles Morales learns that. And then they run into a third Spider-Woman. It's a Spider-Woman this time. And it's Gwen Stacy in a mask.
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Man.
She gives her origin story. And then the three of them.
Hilarious way.
And then the three of them team up and join together in this like Spidey trio to figure out how to stop Kingpin from opening up the other dimension.
Yeah. And we also learn in this scene after they escape from Oscorp and Kingpin's all angry, they learn a bit more about why he's creating this big this dimension, because he wants to go into a different dimension to save his family, his wife and kid died in this universe because they witnessed him like fighting Spider-Man and found out he's a bad guy, and like basically I think they leave but they get killed in some way. So he's trying to find a dimension where he can basically steal his family from another version of him. Is that the idea?
So this is the butterfly effect.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
Cool.
No, those are timelines. This is dimensions. A little different.
I'm
different,
stressed.
Alenka.
I'm stressed. I'm very stressed.
Yeah.
And then so the three of them team up, and I think I remember them going to they go to Aunt May's house next.
Yeah. They go to this current Peter Parker's Aunt May, who just lost her nephew. But
so they go to Aunt May's house, and Aunt May knows that they're from another dimension. And she takes them to Peter Parker, the original Peter Parker's lair, where he has all his different suits and, his tech and gear and stuff. And that's when they run into all the other Spider-Men from the different dimensions.
Shot into this dimension.
One of them is a detective Spider-Man from the 40s. One of them is
voiced by Nicolas Cage.
One of them is like this Japanese anime Spider Woman who has like a spider
Penny
robot.
Parker. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the other one is a spider pig.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Peter Porker.
Peter Porker. Yeah.
What?
And he's voiced by John Mulaney.
Stop it.
Yeah.
and so
and I'll just say all these Spider-Men are real like comic characters. Like they didn't make them up for this movie. They all had comic runs at some point. Peter Porker, Spider-Ham, his comic run was in the 80s. Like this is an established character.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I can't breathe. Yeah. This is amazing. I think I just found my new favorite thing.
So the I think it's the six of them decide to team up to stop Kingpin, and so the six of them they don't believe that Miles Morales has powers, but so Peter B. Parker encourages Miles to show them that he does, and so they kind of all gang up on him and make him and form this like huge cacophony, and they all make Miles Morales feel like so just uncomfortable and claustrophobic. And then Miles Morales leaves them. He just feels so kind of upset that he just leaves. And he goes on this kind of tantrum a little bit, and he tries to contact his Uncle Aaron, but his Uncle Aaron's out of town.
Now, Alenka, we didn't mention this before, but when Miles escapes, he's actually chased by a villain called the Prowler.
Is it a jaguar?
No, well, he's this kind of like purple suited guy with like a cape, and he's got like claws, and he rides a motorcycle. He's more or less like I don't think he has real powers, but he just has a good suit and gadgets.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's his Uncle Aaron, and so but he's out of town, so Miles can't get a hold of him, and then he ends up
he ends up going to his Uncle Aaron's apartment,
right?
And he gets in there and he writes him a note. He writes him a note. He's like, I have something I need to do, but I don't know if I can do it. And what happens is the Prowler shows up at his uncle's apartment. And so Spider-Man, Miles Morales, hides in his like behind the TV, and he goes invisible.
Okay.
While the Prowler is like pretty certain someone's in there. And then the Prowler gets a call from Kingpin and answers it, and then he takes off his mask, and it's his Uncle Aaron is the Prowler.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
What? Ew. Yeah. Oh no, that's twisty.
So Miles Morales panics, or he's chased by that villain, I think, and he is. Yeah. He runs back to Aunt May's house where all the spider people are, and he tells them, "My Uncle Aaron's the Prowler." And they're like, "Were you followed here?" And Miles Morales is like, "Yeah." And so there's this huge battle between Kingpin and all these supervillains and all the spider people, and that's when Miles Morales shows his uncle that it's him as the new Spider-Man. And his Uncle Aaron doesn't kill Miles Morales, so Kingpin shoots Uncle Aaron.
Taking the fucking back too, you know?
Yeah.
As you do when you're betraying someone.
So Miles's uncle Aaron dies, and that's when that's when all the spider people kind of condole him.
Yeah.
And they all tell him about their origins and like which of their uncles died. And
Oh my God. What?
Basically.
They're like, it was part of you. Like we all knew it was going to happen. We just didn't want to tell you.
We didn't want to tell you that was likely to happen.
And then they barge in, or his Miles Morales' roommate kind of barges in and sees all the Spider-Men. So they knock him out and put him to sleep.
Perfect.
And then
not for you,
Peter B. Parker. So all the spider people decide that they're going to go stop Kingpin. That's like they're on their way to the final fight. And
Cool.
Peter B. Parker tells Miles that he can't come with because he doesn't know how to be Spider-Man yet. And that's when Peter Parker,
like that fucking beer-bellied bitch, knows how to do it.
Yeah. So Peter B. Parker, like he webs them up and like basically ties them up, and he's like just to stop him from following them, and he's just like it's like, hey, you can come with us if you can get free. If you can shock me, you can come. And then he just can't muster up the energy, and so he leaves. And his dad comes by the door, and him and his dad haven't spoken in a while now. They kind of had a little bit of a fight. And his dad just found out that his brother died. He finds him dead.
Okay.
And he thinks Spider-Man did it. So his dad kind of has
come on.
Yeah, well, his dad kind of has like, he doesn't like Spider-Man because he's a cop. He doesn't like vigilantes.
Right. He's the whatever the newspaper guy was.
Yeah.
Who is he?
He's J. Jonah Jameson in this. No, he's nothing like J. Jonah Jameson in this universe, but. There was no J. Jonah Jameson. That's funny.
Can you say J. Jonah Jameson 3 times, 5 times? Sorry, 10 times fast?
Yeah, J. Jonah Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson. I have to do it like in a beat, you know? J. Jonah Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson. Sorry.
Sounds not fast.
So his dad's words encouraged Miles Morales to cross that line to become Spider-Man. And so now Miles kind of all of a sudden has this like intuition of how to use his powers. And
wait, what are the guys? What does he say to him exactly?
He just tells him like something happened and that you can do anything and I believe in you. And so Miles Morales has that like, leap of faith
to take. That whole, with great power comes great responsibility, which is mentioned in this movie. And it's kind of like a throwaway line, but it's also a sad line because Peter B. Parker's like, don't you fucking say those words to me.
Don't you fucking do it. It's funny.
So Miles Morales has his powers now. And so he goes after the other spider people to stop Kingpin and help him out.
Yeah. Like he goes to Aunt May's house and he gets like Aunt May's like, I was wondering when you'd show up back here. And he grabs all of Spider-Man's gadgets and one of his suits and spray paints it black with like a red spider on the front.
Oh,
yeah.
That's different.
So he gets all the spider people are like at Kingpin and they're starting to have this bout with the supervillains and Kingpin and all those henchmen. Yeah. And
just before that, though, there's a banquet. There's a banquet.
Oh, right.
Just before that in Peter's honor, and Kingpin is hosting it, which is kind of weird because MJ does MJ not know?
I guess not.
Kingpin
That's
or
one
Wilson
of my questions
Fisk.
too.
Like it's kind of weird. She's at the banquet and it's in Spider-Man's honor, and all the Spider-Man are watching it like, "Oh, this is gross." That can't believe he did this. And he, all the waiters have Spider-Man masks on, so they're like, "Is it really this easy?" So they infiltrate the banquet as themselves, dressed in their Spider-Man gear.
That's hilarious.
Even Peter Porker, but
Peter Porker. God, I gotta see that.
And so they
well, actually, sorry, Alenka, do you know what else you have to see or hear, I should say?
Talk to me.
I think you need to hear, shh, I'm watching a movie.
Say what?
You should listen to Shh, I'm watching a movie. It's a great podcast hosted by Alessandra Vite and Alex Kalenko, two longtime comedy pals in the Toronto comedy scene. What they do is they watch each other's favorite movies. But guess what? One of the other people hasn't seen the movie.
Oh, sounds familiar.
That does sound familiar. They have quite a few episodes already. Well, great mix of movies. They sometimes bring on other peeps from the comedy scene, the Toronto comedy scene, and they just play the movie. They talk about it. Sometimes they don't even talk about the movie. They just talk about other funny shit, but they always come back around to the movie. And you know what? It's a great podcast. So we highly recommend listening to that. You can find that on the premier Toronto podcast network, Sonar Network. That's www.sonarnetwork.com. Go there, listen to I'm watching a movie.
I like saying things in tandem. It's nice.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, it's so organic.
So organic.
I didn't expect it at all.
Alex is literally itching to get back into the film, so shut up.
I know, he's so ready. He's so ready.
He's like, excuse me, you interrupted my synopsis.
So they have after the banquet, they get down to their Kingpin's lair and they have this bout and they're kind of like struggling, but then Miles Morales swings in and he kicks Peter B. Parker's being punched by Dr. Octopus, and Miles Morales kind of saves him. And they're like, wow, you got your powers. That's amazing. And so Miles Morales is able to kind of open up the portal to their own dimensions. And everybody sort of jumps back in and says their goodbyes. And it's very sad.
Yeah. It is very sad. They're all like, oh. And,
is this when you cried, Alex?
Now. It is. So I started.
Really?
This is when you start to cry. Yeah, because it's very emotional.
When Uncle Aaron dies, that's sad too. But he's also.
But
a bad
this is when
guy,
you decide to cry, Alex.
Yeah. So Peter B. Parker is like he doesn't believe that Miles is ready, and he doesn't want to go back home. But so he's kind of offering to stay and save everybody from Kingpin. But Miles Morales is like, no, dude, you got to go home. I got this. And he drops Peter B. Parker into the portal to his home, and then he fights Kingpin, and then his dad, while he's kind of losing at first. And then his dad, as the cop, kind of runs in and starts encouraging him.
That's Spider-Man. He doesn't know that it's his son. Yeah, he's just like, go, Spider-Man, go. Do it, Spider-Man.
Well.
And that
just off in the side to himself. And he's just like, here's something.
He's honestly the only cop.
What's that?
He's the only cop that shows up. He's also just like a beat cop. Like, why is he the first there all the time?
He's very passionate.
And he's like in this underground layer that no one else knows about.
He's somehow found,
Yeah, so Miles Morales, he gives him the courage to beat Kingpin, and he beats him, and Kingpin's like 400 pounds. But he's like this, he beats him, and then he
whips, so he throws him way up into the roof of the whole collider where the button is that kind of stops it, and he just slams him into the button. Basically, that's how he wins.
Convenient.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then his dad throws some of the villains in his cop cars, and he gets a call for Miles, and Miles is like, I know it could be better, and I'm sorry, and I love you, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then he goes to his dad as Spider-Man, and his dad doesn't realize that Miles is Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man gives him a hug, and it's very kind of awkward.
Well, yeah, because just before
he's like, why the fuck are you hugging me?
Well, Miles phones him, and just before the hug happens, his dad goes, you know what, I saw your art. It's really great. Like, maybe you can take a couple art classes or something. Like, he basically encourages him as an artist instead of a scientist. And that really touches Miles. So he immediately hangs up and then shows up as Spider-Man and then hugs him really hard.
Right.
And I think that's
cute.
I think that's when it ends. I think that's the end of the movie. Miles Morales goes through his origin story, and that's the end. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He goes
with them hugging.
Let's go through this one last time, just like all the other Spider-Man. And then he goes through basically, the whole movie that we just watched.
It's just a voiceover, and then it gets to the part at the end where he's like, "Okay, let's go over this one last time," and it's just a constant.
And they play
loop.
the movie again. Yeah.
And you're like, "What the fuck?"
The movie's actually 20 hours long.
It never ends.
No.
Yeah. Well, we kind of see in the other universe with Peter B. Parker, he patches things up with MJ and his life is starting to get better. And then the very end is Miles kind of in his room putting headphones on and listening to music, which is how the movie opens kind of with him, is that he's listening to this kind of, I think he's listening to, why am I blanking on his name? That rapper with all the face tattoos.
No, I can't remember his name.
Oh,
the white rapper.
All of them. Post Malone.
Post Malone.
Post Maloney.
He's listening to. It's a Post Malone song, like specifically made for this movie, but he's kind of listening to that.
Oh,
and
right.
As he's settling in, kind of to listen to it, a portal opens up and he hears Gwen's voice calling to him, and that's kind of the end of the movie.
Who's Gwen
So it's,
to him in this? Oh yeah.
Oh, they're like good friends, but like
Ew,
could be love
she's
interests.
like, hey,
Yeah.
I opened the portal. You can come over.
Is that a euphemism or something?
Yeah, they're gonna have relations of sorts.
Yeah, spider relations.
Ew.
Mm.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew. I feel like spiders eat each other's heads off in order to procreate. Do they not?
I don't know.
Black
I'm not
widows.
a spider expert.
Another
Black widows, I think, kill their partners after sex.
You're not an arachneologist.
No,
that's hot.
Yeah,
That's hot.
That's my fetish.
Kinky.
Tinky.
And then Alenka.
I don't like that.
Alenka,
What?
this is a Marvel movie, so what happens?
Some bloopers.
There's a post-credit scene. Yeah, well, that's not bloopers.
Well,
but there's a post-credit scene in this movie. There's a scene in which it's kind of futuristic. You know, it's kind of like in another Spider-Man's lair, but it's way more futuristic. Dark. And we see Spider-Man 2099, who is Miguel O'Hara. He's a future Spider-Man from the year 2099. And a little history on that Spider-Man. He's a scientist who tried to create all the powers of the original Spider-Man, and then injects himself and eventually gains newer powers.
Is that not like the Green Goblin type shit?
Yeah, it's a little bit of the Green Goblin's origin story. He tries to he tries to create powers for himself, and that's how Spider-Man in the Tobey Maguire movie gets his powers, is because of Osborn's spider experimentations. But we see Miguel O'Hara, voiced by Oscar Isaac, and he's learning about all these other dimensional Spider-Mans, but he can travel through the dimensions. Okay. So he's about to travel to Earth 67. And Earth 67 is actually the 1967 like cartoon Spider-Man, the one that all the memes are.
Okay. No. Oh, yes.
Yeah, the Spider-Man memes, the cartoon ones. Yeah. So the end scene is just him pointing at another Spider-Man, like in the meme, and they just back and forth yelling at each other for pointing at each other.
What? Yeah. I have to see that. That's bizarre.
Well, you've seen those memes, right? With the 1960s Spider-Man, they're always with the cartoon Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. They just did that as an end scene, that meme, but they added in Miguel O'Hara.
Seems lazy.
It's funny. It's culture. It's pop culture. It's reference, Alenka.
Okay, well, I'm unfamiliar with all those things. What's a reference?
I mean, you watch Family Guy, which is all references, so...
You know what they did on Family Guy? Spider-Man. He saves Peter falling from a building. And then Peter's like, wow, thanks, Spider-Man. And he's like, everybody gets one. And then he goes away.
Yeah, I do remember that reference.
Ah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I think there's Spider Pig, is there not? Spider Pig.
Spider. That's a Simpsons reference, isn't it?
No.
Getting your references
mixed
mixed up?
No, it's Family Guy.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, are you getting your fucking references mixed up?
I'm sorry. But
Alex, are you familiar with the Family Guy?
Not really. I don't really watch Family Guy, to be honest.
Do you watch The Simpsons?
No. I watch South Park.
That's because you're in Colorado, so.
Yeah.
Colorado. Yeah. Oh, shit. Spider Pig is The Simpsons. Oh.
Yeah, I told you. That's from the Simpsons movie.
Whatever. Anyways. Honestly, the movie was kind of confusing for me.
I could imagine.
You said it wasn't going to be confusing, Alex.
Well, I mean, I kind of lied.
Well,
What the?
yeah. Well, Alenka, we finished this movie in record time.
Seriously?
Do you have any questions about things that we can maybe explain a bit more?
Can you tell me what they all individually look like, please?
All individually look like.
Yeah,
Okay.
because what does Spider Pig look like? Like, I'm envisioning a tiny pig boy, but does he have legs? Is
No,
he pink in human form?
He looks like what's the Looney Tunes pig?
Oh, stop it, really?
Yeah.
He looks like Peppa the pig, eh?
Porky Pig. He looks like Porky Pig, but
Kidding.
if Porky Pig was a bit skinnier and a bigger head, and then dressed in a spider suit.
What the fuck? What's his origin? I'm
He's
mostly interested in the pig version.
And Peter Parker.
So
yeah.
actually, if you could just tell me everything you guys know about Peter Parker.
They didn't really go over his origin story, though.
What the fuck? He's a pig that can talk. They just skimmed it over?
Well, the original
And wanted
comic
us to
series in the
accept that? I
80s, it's
refuse.
Peter Parker, and he lives in a dimension where it's all animals, and all the animals talk.
Ugh.
And he's a reporter for the Daily Beagle, not the Bugle, the Beagle.
Yeah.
And every other villain and other superheroes within the universe have just like animal puns for their superhero names. It's it's for children, this comic book, or like more like kids.
Well, Spider-Man's for children.
I mean, this specifically was aimed at like the kids under like 14 sort of thing, whereas right now most comics I think are aimed at adults over 40. So
What?
maybe not. That's a lie. But yeah, he's just a pig version of Peter Parker. It's pretty much the same origin story.
You guys can't just shrug
Except
this off and
He was
expect me
bitten by
to.
a radioactive pig.
What the fuck? He was bitten by a pig? He would
Yeah.
not. Why would he become a spider pig then? That doesn't even make sense.
Because it doesn't have to make sense. It's a fucking spider ham.
It has to make sense.
No, it doesn't.
He's
It
no
just has to
part
be
spider.
entertaining.
Uh,
It's just entertaining.
and no one else could voice that except John Mulaney. He's fantastic.
True. He'd make a good spider pig.
Yeah. Any other questions, Alenka?
Who's Pigpen? Pen Pig? Pin King? Kingpin?
Kingpin.
King Pig.
James Pig.
I'm really
Kingpin's
fixated
this,
on the pig.
Kingpin's like the most vicious Spider-Man villain, probably.
Why?
He has so much money that he just
He has a
he
stupid
always,
fucking name.
and he always spends it on
Alex
things
just ignores
like
me. He's like, I
portals
don't
to
give
other
a fuck
dimensions and
what
stuff.
this bitch is saying. I love
Well,
this movie.
Kingpin, yeah. His name is Wilson Fisk. That's his real name. But, his mob name is Kingpin.
He's a mobster.
Well, he's kind of a mobster businessman. He runs the city, basically,
Can you
when it comes to
please-
crime.
Can you please describe this in a way in the Batman universe that would be similar?
He's
have no
Lex
idea.
Luthor.
Oh, never mind. That's Superman.
Well, they're part of the same universe. So he is. I mean,
still unfamiliar.
Kingpin is Bruce Wayne if Bruce Wayne was evil.
Okay.
Except and also doesn't wear a suit or has technical. He just is super, super strong. He's
So
just
he
like
just
a
wears
big
a
dude.
suit?
He wears a
He just wears-
suit and he's super big. He's comically big in this. Like he's huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he
He's
in any
huge.
live action movies?
He is the main villain in the Daredevil series on Netflix. He's also Daredevil's villain as well. He's
The
a Spider-Man
same
villain.
universe?
Yeah, they're part of Marvel Comics.
That stresses me out.
So Daredevil he's also in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie.
Nobody cares about Ben Affleck movies.
He's just, he's around. He's just a businessman that has big fists.
Okay. Does he do taxes? Is he an accountant?
Honestly, everything he probably above board on most things except for his crime.
Right.
His
But
crime
honestly,
dealings.
his crime was literally just trying to protect his family. No?
Yeah, he's like a tragic villain. He's always supposed to be. He's even in the Daredevil series. He's very much presented as like this sympathetic guy, but also is very, very angry and has like turns on a dime when it comes to his, anger and viciousness. Well, I guess we'll get right to this part.
This is the part.
Alenka,
What?
how many Spider Hams do you give this movie?
Oh my God. I love Spider Ham. Okay, but I'm imagining a nice crispy on the outside, juicy on the inside, Christmas Spider Ham for dinner. That's kind of what I'm envisioning here.
Oh, that's great.
I'm sorry, Alex. The noises you're making. It sounds.
I don't know I don't have any reference for that.
No,
that
that's
score.
literally out of my brain. I think, I think it's one where I was expecting it to be shit. It sounds entertaining. It does sound entertaining.
It is the best Spider-Man movie ever made, so you should watch
it. That's sickening. I can't believe that, though. There's no way.
You'll enjoy it. Sam loved it. My partner Sam loved it. She but she really doesn't watch any of these superhero things, and she watched it with coworkers, and she was really into it. So
because it was the experience of being with coworkers. She was,
and the animation's pretty damn cool. So
okay, is it on Netflix?
It is on Netflix.
Oh no, it's on American Netflix.
Yikes!
Not on Canadian.
Only
Netflix.
on American Netflix. So
guess I won't be watching it.
Watch it, Americans.
If you're in Canada, go to a piracy website.
Yeah.
That's what I did, sort of. No, I didn't. I can't state that legally.
Oh,
I got it legally.
Sure.
Through illegal means. Alex, I want to thank you for coming on to the show.
Me too.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for explaining it in record time.
Yeah, honestly, well done.
Thank you. I just love Spider-Man, dude.
Yeah, Alex is just like, he was like, fuck you guys, don't say a word. I'm fucking doing it.
I was so ready to talk about this movie.
Honestly, I had no idea.
Well, if our listeners want to see more of your stuff, or hear more, or see more, or watch more, where can they do that?
If you want to check out my cartoons, go to Instagram, and the handle is @breakfast_journal. And you can watch all my stuff there.
Nice.
Sure. And if you want to see us, Will plug us, because I have no fucking clue.
That's right. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook @Haven't Seen It Podcast, and on Twitter @haven't_seen_it. We also have a website, haven'tseenitpodcast.com. There you can see the list of all the movies Alenka hasn't seen. It's big, always growing, and we're trying to get through them all by next century.
Like the Spider-Verse.
Exactly. We're trying to get to all the dimensions of those movies. And if you want to leave us a review, you can do that on Facebook or on Instagram. Not Instagram, but on iTunes. You can leave us a review on iTunes. That's where it real counts. Likes and reviews on iTunes. That's what we really want. So do that if you can. Yeah.
And you can. I know you can.
We know you can. Yeah.
And on that note, folks, Alex is a big fan. On that night, folks, or on that note, rather, I encourage you all to go find any type of spider or tarantula or perhaps even a small rodent and encourage it to bite you just to see what happens.